Hey everyone, it's your buddy back again with another exciting fanfic, which is What If Naruto Was Adopted by Tsunade Part 3. If you enjoy this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more fanfics like this. Now, let's dive right into the fanfic. Naruto sat atop a high cliff, staring blankly at the expanse of town before and below him. It was not Konoha. Konoha had been left behind weeks ago, like a bittersweet dream. He could scarcely think of the Hyuga compound without smiling at his memories of playing hide and seek among other things with Hinata-chan. And the times they would spend talking, or inquiring about what the other were doing, and so on. The Hyuga compound also brought to mind all the other Hyugas who had made a prudent point of giving him, at least outwardly, the benefit of the doubt with regards to his demonic threat level, perhaps due to his family name as a Ho-Oh. Perhaps out of sheer Hyuga, almost stuck up, discipline to authority and tradition. He could scarcely think of that sandbox tucked against one side of the academy building without smiling at his memories with Sakura, building sandcastles, talking, and just plain having fun. Lastly, he could scarcely think of the villagers of Konoha without an involuntary wince and furtively checking his surroundings. Though he knew there would never be anything there, it was something he always did. Perhaps he was picking up his mother's sense of superstition. But on top of that stage, he had been at their mercy, of which they'd shown none. It was natural to retain a certain amount of uncertainty, he reasoned. Actually, the town below him was in the midst of a festival. And he could not stand to be there, as if there was an actual, almost nauseating, physical force that repelled him. His adopted mother and sister were at the apothecary, which was open even on such a day as this. He doubted they knew there was a festival today, and even if they did know, he doubted they would expect his reaction to it. Naruto was proud to be able to be supremely tough when he had to be, and it had been 2 weeks of concern and support already. He was fine most of the time, he really was. He was as close to acting normal as anyone could hope for acting, most of the time. It's just that on days like today when he's alone, a particularly strong wind blew. It was a much warmer day than any seen yet this week, but though Fire Country had a warm climate compared to others, it was the 24th of October, after all. The lone blonde-haired boy pulled his knees up to his chest in response to the chilly wind. He'd left his customary white jacket at home, the geeky one that he'd found himself wearing for its simple functionality. His gaze remained blank as he stared at the village beneath him. He only snapped out of his blank daze when he felt a newfound weight on his shoulders, a jacket. And it wasn't white. Yo, brat, Arrow uncle, you showed up. Jiraiya sat down beside his nephew. Of course he'd shown up. Naruto was probably surprised that he'd taken so long to appear, since the hermit had missed the boy's birthday. The spiky-haired Sannin indicated the jacket now draped on his nephew's shoulders. Solid orange, he informed pointedly. The single most extremely orange jacket ever designed in grass country, ever. He'd gotten it out of a bargain bin. With the local Pumpkin Day celebrations over, no one had wanted to buy the damn thing. In fact, perhaps no one had ever wanted to buy the damn thing, if the scandalous looks he had to endure were any indications. Yes, it was that orange. And he was hoping it would be just the thing to spark the kid right up. Naruto smiled. Thanks, Arrow uncle. It's awesome. Jiraiya chuckled. Glad to have more proof of how great he was at, well, damn near everything. At least, that was how it was meant to sound. Yet Jiraiya's laughter felt hollow in his own ears. What, brat, that's it. No, it's the best birthday present ever. Or, you Arrow baka, it's the wrong damn size. No randomly screaming, orange. Until I get a headache. I just gave you the most orange piece of clothing you've ever seen, Jiraiya trailed off, now permitting himself to sound worried. And you didn't even flail around like a chipmunk on a sugar high. Naruto, are you sick or what? Though of course the Sannin knew what was wrong. Where else would he have been for the past 2 weeks than in Konoha? Arriving there a mere day late for his nephew's birthday, he'd come home to a living nightmare. Hearing what had transpired had been tough, but Jiraiya was tougher than that. Dealing with the aftermath was tougher, but Jiraiya, again, was tougher even than that. But that dull, melancholy look in Naruto's form pierced straight through any toughness the Sannin could have. Naruto sighed and stood up. Jiraiya stood up as well, his form dwarfing the smaller blonde. Regardless, the boy held his uncle's gaze. Arrow uncle, I want you to teach me. Ah, Jiraiya thought, looking into blue eyes that had come to a resolution. Those eyes were tinged with sadness, fear, and reluctance, but Jiraiya could see the clarity of Naruto's decision in his unwavering gaze. Then, it's time. Not having realistically imagined that the events of Konoha could have ever come to pass with such startling ease, Naruto had discovered that the world wasn't quite what he thought it was, and, though he disliked the notion, he now perceived that he would need more than his mother's battle techniques if he wanted to be properly prepared for a future which now seemed so uncertain. He had never really limited himself to only his Ka-chan's techniques. He had wanted to be able to fight, though he'd put healing skills first. In fact, he was pretty sure he still felt that way. But he had never felt a real necessity to fill in the gaps that were inherent in his mother's highly specialized skill set. Now he did. Jiraiya believed that, in life, there were some lessons that, if learned on one's own, would have a greater value by sevenfold. He also believed that, in life, there were some choices that should be made on one's own. But he knew, in fact he'd always known that Naruto would come to make this choice eventually. The life of Arashi's son could not be easy, and neither could the life of a Jinchuriki. When the boy grew up and invariably found himself in a valley surrounded by wolves, at least he could be armed to the teeth. His face was caught somewhere between a grim frown and a grimmer smile as he nodded his assent. They would start on perfecting Karyu Enden. One thing first though, Naruto said, looking once more at the village below. There's a festival in town and well, the boy fidgeted, looking almost ill. You want to go, eat some lunch or something? So, Naruto would choose to face down his fears now, to ensure that his decision was not driven by an underlying fear of weakness. It was odd how Jiraiya could pick that type of complex motive out of a few simple sentences, but there were certain aspects of Naruto that were so similar to his father. So similar, in fact, to Jiraiya himself. It would be my honor to be your support. Fine, Jiraiya agreed aloud. But we're stopping by the bath house on the way. I have my research to consider, after all. What? Is there even anyone who would keep a bath house open in the middle of a festival? Arrow uncle, every time I see you I become more convinced that you have some type of mental disease. It's called adulthood, brat. No, it's called pathetic. Now come on, let's get going. I'll even pay for your freeloading as. Not bad, Jiraiya thought, noting the insult. It was a good sign. Many of the brat's insults were often too smart-mouthed to be thought up in a despondent mood. Naruto, I'll have you swearing my ear off by nightfall. 4. Hinata crouched in front of the counting tree, in front of her and Naruto's tree. She was in pain, as evident from the way she clutched at her heart. The longing look in her eyes was an easy tip-off that the pain was not physical. My daughter, is that you? Hyuga Hiyatari asked, arriving on the scene. Ever since the successful surgery, her eyesight had gradually been returning, though not by much. But even this was a medical miracle, considering the many differences between Hyuga eyes and those of anyone else. Hinata turned to see her mother. Hi, Okawa-sama, it is me. She was then taken into her mother's careful embrace. Are you in pain? Hiyatari asked softly. Hinata produced the most despondent mumble Hiyatari could ever dread to hear. He's gone. Oh, Hiyatari said, as if she hadn't suspected the cause of her daughter's distress all along. I didn't even get to say goodbye. Hinata cried. It was a small point, that she could not have said goodbye. A small drop that could be recognized in a vast ocean of misery which she could not name. Her closest, one and only friend, her laughter, had left. Chased out of the village by those she thought would celebrate his existence. She'd known him for only months, yet time in that period had moved so slowly. It had been so precious. Hiyatari smiled in a way she hoped was encouraging. Do not worry so much, my daughter. Perhaps there will be no need for goodbye at all. What do you mean? It's true that Naruto-sama's departure was. The woman fumbled for a word that would not cause more pain, sudden. Yet one day he will likely return, and on that day, you two may play together again. At least, I hope that will be the case, for Konoha as well as for my daughter. If Ho Naruto were to return and play with my Hinata, then it would be a sign that he was amiable to peace with this village. Jiraiya of the Sannin himself had been working in the aftermath of that fateful night, according to her husband. Apparently, the Sannin had been working in the background to sow seeds of a path for Naruto's hopefully eventual return. But there was a whole village whose collective view needed to be changed, or at the least, shifted. At any rate, your father asked me to tell you, it's time for your calligraphy. As Hiyatari watched her daughter nod and walk off, she couldn't shake the feeling that the girl looked so ill. But he said that, today, you must create only the most beautifully styled and formal letter. He'll make sure it's delivered properly. Hiyatari smiled sadly, so it won't be like the ones you sent Naruto-sama before, where they weren't delivered. Wide-eyed, Hinata sprinted off without so much as a goodbye, Okawa-sama. That day, the Hyuga heiress holed herself up in her calligraphy room for 2 hours straight. 4. Alright, let's get this started then, brat. Jiraiya stood, stomach apparently full to bursting with nephew-purchased food and drink. The pair had returned to the same high cliff where they had met earlier in the day. The tree line was a good 20-15 paces behind them, and provided them with productive scenery. Good feng shui and all that. Feng shui is the practice of placement and arrangement of space which is claimed to achieve harmony with the environment. Naruto stood in front of him, face somewhere between one of careful attention to the speaker and a flat look that said, I can't believe it. Did you actually eat that much just to spite me? But he was, after 4 hours of immersing himself in festival scenery, feeling much more over Konoha now. A strange notion to him, as he'd thought he was already over Konoha. Now, the first order of business is to find out why your idiot self can't perform a single Karyuenden. Shut up. This is the guy the first invite along for emotional support. So student, Jiraiya said, pointedly ignoring Naruto's glare. He really seems to be doing better now. Perhaps he really was more down than normal because of the festival. Naruto, it's not easy to keep you down at all, is it? We're going to go into the theory of Karyuenden a bit more. Its uses should be obvious even to a dimwit such as yourself. It's a projectile attack which can have its uses tweaked a bit. For instance, it can really have a wide spread. Kunai are fine, I guess, but a good Karyuenden is just better. As far as projectile jutsu go, it's damn fast too. So, when was the last time you tried it? Sensei, I have a question. Naruto raised his hand. Do all teachers insult their students every other sentence, or is it just a perverted loser thing? Do you want me to teach you or not? Naruto didn't miss a beat. Well, I don't really want to learn from a guy like you, he proclaimed, throwing in a thoughtful-sounding voice for effect. But you're the only one here and you taught my father after all, so. Arashi was 1,000 times more respectful than you. Naruto causally raised his hand again. Sensei. Then have you become 1,000 times more useless since back then? You brat. Jiraiya yelled angrily, scowling and pulling the boy's face up to his own. Whereupon, his voice dropped to a whisper, we're being watched. Thud. What? Naruto spun around. He came face to face with the very image of an assassination specialist ninja. The lanky form had not a spot that wasn't covered in black cloth or the midnight visor hiding the stranger's eyes. Thud. The sound was repeated 7 more times, and as many more black-covered figures dropped out from the tree line. Naruto backstepped in surprise, but became painfully aware of just how close he was to the edge of the cliff. Shit. Jiraiya smoothly slid in front of his nephew. No head protectors. Renegades. Sneaking up on me and Naruto, that's an impressive feat. But do you really think you can take me? Naruto's eyes were still wide. To the boy, this whole situation seemed so surreal. Things had been so normal seconds ago. Naruto swallowed the lump in his throat and steadied his footing. These guys had revealed themselves in the middle of such a moment of normalcy. The parallel between that and the assassination attempt he dealt with at his and Sakura-chan's sandbox 2 weeks ago was not lost on him. They're probably here for me. 8 figures launched a cloud of kunai in a sparse flicker of motion. Doden. Daichi Hada Tate. That Jiraiya could perform the Earth Shield technique in the time between the assailants had prepared to throw, and the time the kunai reached him was a testament of skill. There was a corresponding series of thuds as the kunai lodged in the thick and well chakra-reinforced curved shield. Though it was not much taller than Jiraiya himself, it was strong enough to handle projectiles such as kunai and shuriken, yet how long would this barrage last before higher-grade artillery would be pulled out? Naruto had a sinking feeling in his stomach when the thuds of kunai did not let up. They were outnumbered, 8-2. His uncle was said to be quite formidable, but he'd never actually seen the man fight. Either way, Naruto knew he would have to do something. But what could he do? They were pinned down to the spot. Damn, he had one option. One desperate option. Maybe his uncle wouldn't need his help and it would all be for naught, but he wasn't going to take that chance. Rat, horse, tiger, dog, ox, dragon, horse, hare, tiger. The quiet, long drag of air alerted Jiraiya to the boy's plan. Karyu Enden. The kid's strong, but he knows he's not fast enough to land a hit. Smart move, kid. Now hopefully you can pull it off. Naruto's gaze became intense as he neared the end of his molding. Slowly, his eyes closed as his mind became even more intensely focused. Like this, the world shrank down to him and his targets. Over the whisper of his own breath intake, he thought he heard a crackling in the back of his mind. It was getting louder. This is all I can do. In fact, I probably can't even do this, but there's no way I won't try. It's either this or stand back and be helpless. No, I refuse. Like hell I would do something like that. Closer. That crackling, what was it? It was tough, but he was focusing on his molding and managing to keep a bead on the 8 assassins' chakra sources at the same time. In his mind's eye, the picture of blankness was now inhabited by 9 blue flames, his mental representation of chakra sources. And still, that crackling was getting louder, yet Naruto had no time for such frivolous details. Please, Naruto begged to himself. Work. Time seemed to slow down to a crawl, yet suddenly, the crackling was so much more than just that. It was a blazing roar as Naruto felt the presence of a hallucination he'd never forget arrive with vicious speed at his back, and waited. He did not turn to see the fire dragon behind him, poised to pounce, but he knew that it was there, waiting for something. Naruto's eyes snapped open and glared at his opponents with a frightening intensity. Kaden, echoed the boy's mind, Karyu Enden. Naruto's head and indeed, his entire body snapped back from the recoil as hell was let loose in a breath. The fire dragon, missile, did not roar in freedom, it only sizzled the air and blazed its way in a punch through the back of Jiraiya's shield with no perceivable difficulty at all. It met even less resistance as it punched through a black-clad ninja and forest line beyond. All in an instant. Jiraiya was startled at the sheer focus displayed in the jutsu. It was not large by Karyu Enden standards, but its power was concentrated to an extreme. However, the silver-haired man's surprise was clamped down on in the next split second. Jiraiya snapped his head to his nephew's location. The boy was wide-eyed, surprised at the force of his own technique, but yet more surprised at the kickback which was sending him flying the short distance off the edge of the cliff. The silver-haired man launched himself to the cliff's edge with an arm outstretched. Too little, too late. Naruto. He was on the verge of launching himself downwards off the cliff face, catching his nephew, and dealing with the landing in some last-second plan, but was interrupted by a sight he hadn't expected. Naruto looked more grave than the Toad Hermit had ever seen him. "Hurry and pull me up, Arrow Baka," he demanded, standing on the side of the cliff easily, and grabbing his uncle's still dumbly outstretched arm. "We've got some bad guys to toast." Jiraiya broke out of his doubly surprised look with a "tche." So Naruto had finally finished the tree-climbing exercise. He easily hoisted his nephew up but held his wrists in place to forestall yet another Karyuenden. Naruto shot his uncle a look demanding an explanation. Every second of inaction was a second where they were little more than human-shaped target practice props. "They aren't real. What?" Jiraiya smiled a proud smile as if Naruto had passed some type of training regime with exceptional results, and the black-clad ninja behind him hanged in puffs of smoke, revealing yet more Jiraiyas. "Impossible." A nearby frog croaked, oblivious to the impending violence. It was the only sound made in the vast seconds it took for everything to sink into poor Naruto's mind. "Be Bunshin no Jutsu," Naruto yelled, between disbelieving shock and equally disbelieving outrage. "Bunshin no $$ jutsu." He then roared. You bastard. Is this some kind of $$ up revenge for that prank I pulled?" he yelled, incensed beyond imagining. Surprisingly, Jiraiya actually paled in the face of his nephew's rage, which was radiating levels of anger and violence at pissed-off Tsunade, like magnitudes. "And no, he placated. This is training, I swear. Like your father, you pull out all the stops when you're backed into a corner, so I. Arrow uncle, why you? Jiraiya didn't like the way his nephew's voice seemed to echo with malcontent. "Well, you did it, didn't you? That Karyuenden. Quote. That's true," Naruto eventually, slowly admitted, yet he did not decrease his glare. He had been worried for his and his uncle's very lives. "But I swear to God I will make your life a living hell for the next 5 days, the blonde said gravely before drawing back, craning back his head, and shooting a look at his uncle down his nose which proposed that Jiraiya really had no idea what level of horror he was in store for. "Be prepared to repent in your misery, Arrow Yuru. Omake." There were many questions that were not answered that day on both sides. Naruto wanted to know how a Bunshin could create such a level of chakra output, and Jiraiya wanted to know just what was up with Naruto producing a Karyuenden of such force. However, these questions would have to wait a day or so, as more pressing matters were at hand. "Tsunade. Tsunade, for the love of all that is good, help me." A battered Jiraiya yelled desperately as he approached his old teammate in the middle of the shopping district. The man and his clothes looked like they had just been through a meat grinder and lived to tell the tale. "Please," he frantically begged. "Please." Tsunade raised a delicate eyebrow at her former teammate. Her silent question of, "What have you done now?" was answered in the form of approaching hordes of angry women, from all sides. "Oh," Tsunade said. "You want me to get Naru-chan to stop, huh? He's been leaking information to them." Jiraiya insisted, yelling over the menacingly approaching crowd. "He's been organizing them. Help me. Save me." Jiraiya felt the cold surface of a glassy store front window at his back through the rips in his tattered clothing, and the man knew fear. He's turned them into vicious monsters. Some of the women noticed Tsunade, who, compared to Jiraiya, was on the complete opposite of the respect spectrum for her glorious additions to female pride everywhere. Seeing attention focused on her, Tsunade knew it was time to make a choice. She chose her son, of course. "Oh, Jiraiya, every time I catch you, you repent your perversity, and I foolishly believed you. Yet for 4 years now you have been trying to corrupt my son, and use him to aid you in your deranged, daily tasks. It helped that the villagers didn't know about Naruto's status as a Jinchuriki. In fact, outside of Konoha, most villages in Fire Country actually didn't know about her son's connection with Kyuubi, a feat accomplished by a deal she'd extracted from her old sensei before she'd left Konoha that fateful day she'd adopted Naruto as her own. Screams of, "What? Unbelievable, inhuman," and "enemy of women and children everywhere," were heard repeatedly from the increasingly violent din of the female crowd. Yes, Tsunade fake lamented. As if her Naruto would give in to the old pervert's corruption. And I had been willing to forgive and forget. I had thought that you would change. I thought you truly cared for the one you would call nephew, but it's become so clear that the only one you care for is yourself. Tsunade only regretted that she wasn't as good at getting the pervert into trouble as her son was. The boy was capable of taking such acts and breaking it down into a science. Once or twice, he had gone so far as to research new words, and then practicing them in a written speech, all for the sole purpose of using them to prank or insult his uncle. And now it seemed that the boy was moving into an even more terrifying pervert punishing strategy. Jiraiya, and indeed most male shinobi, had an iron, unspoken rule of refraining from using ninja techniques to either incapacitate or escape civilian women, lest they be gossiped about and shunned by the female half of the world. Because, simply, in Jiraiya's experience, female civilians knew how to hold a grudge if you didn't either talk them out of wanting to hurt you or accept your punishment, like a man. But back to the subject at hand, Jiraiya was frantic with terror. The wall of angry women was closing in by the second. Kriak. All movement paused as the glass door just to Jiraiya's right opened and a group of men walked into the street, and therefore, into the middle of the closing ring of women intent on bodily harm. The men who were, it turns out, but the first of a stream of males leaving the shop froze solid as the situation and tension in the air became known to them. It was then that Jiraiya spotted the books many of them were carrying. The orange-covered novel was easily recognizable as his precious creation of mass perversion. Comrades in arms. He smiled, realizing that the shop window he was now pressed against must indeed belong to a bookstore that had only just stocked his newest novel not less than an hour ago at 12 o'clock noon. Wait, wasn't that a little too convenient? The situation suddenly reeked of either irony or fate getting ready to kick the ever-living daylights out of his sorry SS. Jiraiya's smile started to falter. Ah, Jiraiya-sama, one man greeted reverently, clutching his copy of the book close to his heart. Your latest. Anything further the man might have said was cut off by the sound of a sickeningly sweet voice, nata. Oh dear. The man noticed his wife in the crowd, hid the book with masterful swiftness, realized exactly the situation that was underway, shot Jiraiya an apologetic look, and dutifully grabbed the large broomstick his wife daintily handed to him with a smile on her face. Oh shit. Jiraiya's mind screamed as the scene was repeated with only marginal variation for every man that left the bookstore. Even men that weren't romantically involved with anyone were somehow coerced onto the side of the female crowd. The market street became full to bursting with women that each insisted they wanted to get at least one solidly satisfying slap or kick in personally, and men that really had no sane choice but to refer to Jiraiya strictly as an enemy of women everywhere, and act like they wanted to get at least one hit in as well, whether they actually felt like that or not. A thought occurred to Jiraiya. Really, compared to what happened to his nephew 2 weeks prior, this was less than nothing. These people were not the some populace of a village out to kill him, and they were mobbing him after he had actually done several perverted things and not after having saved one of their own. These women were angry as hell, but not truly hateful with the ferocity that Konoha had been. Yet he still didn't see why he had to endure this hell. I repent, he desperately cried, hoping that wherever the boy was, he could hear his heartfelt pleas for mercy. The crowd closed in. I repent. Shizune turned to her Ototo, who had just arrived on the scene with her. Did you hear that, Naruto-kun? Naruto made a reluctant sound. Yeah, I suppose I can just let him off the hook after today, it's not like I have anything that can top this. That arrow baka won't fall for this a second time, and I don't really want to spend any time thinking of something new. I did complete my Karyu Enden today, too, I guess. Shizune smiled at the boy, feeling, God forbid, sympathetic to the painful pleas for mercy coming from the frog Sanin's location, such as, no, not there I beg you. And, that doesn't come off. That doesn't come off. For the love of God, stop trying to rip it off. Tsunade looked thoughtful at what her son had just said. No, she disagreed. You know, I really think you should just go for the whole 5 days, she said with glee. Why not? Hell, I'll help you. Tsunade-sama. Huh, really? You'd help? Well, things would be a lot easier. Sure, of course. Just tell me what you need me to do, Naru-chan. It's about time that perverse idiot got his proper punishment, Tsunade grinned vindictively. Jiraiya's pained wailing once more cut off the Hau's conversation. You can't do that. The pervert insisted. That's my writing hand. I'm an author. What? He's an author? One woman asked, not having known this. Yeah, he writes those orange eki novels, another woman responded. Break that hand. Wait. Jiraiya interrupted. Surprisingly, people actually did wait to hear the man out. He addressed the real driving force behind his current pain, the women. It's become clear that I'm going to die today. So you all should at least do the decent thing and flash me some flesh so I can go to heaven with a smile on my face, he reasoned. Total outraged disbelief. Suddenly, half the men, the married half with wives in the crowd, had much less difficulty becoming enthusiastic about kicking Jiraiya in painful places. Ka-chan. You know, I really think just today will be enough, and honestly, I think it'll be a little dangerous for Arrowbacka's health if he gets hit at all in the next few days. Maybe I went too far. He might be in casts or something. What? Just from this? Tsunade asked incredulously. This is nothing to that guy. He's just being whiny. Tsunade insisted, and was going to say more, but she was rudely interrupted by a high-pitched scream. The pain. Oh, the pain. Tsunade-sama, I don't think it would be wise. Oh, nonsense. He's done his endurance training. And you can't tell just by looking at him, but internally he's fine. That idiot reinforces his internal defense by molding chakra right underneath the surface of his skin, so only the top looks hurt, really. What? Naruto exclaimed. That cheater. Exactly. See, don't you want to punish him some more? Huh. Tsunade prodded. Tsunade-sama, stop trying to force Naruto-kun into things. Sure. Let's do it, Ka-chan. Ototo. That's my son. Tsunade-sama. Just one more day, though. I'm stopping after tomorrow, Naruto informed. Sigh. Well, I guess that's enough then. It's just that this looks so much more satisfying than merely punching him when he's perverted. No. You two are going too far. Ototo, you have to. By the way, Shizune. I didn't tell you, did I? Tsunade rhetorically asked. Jiraiya actually is planning on teaching Naru-chan some more techniques, but he wants Naruto to help him be perverted in return. Silence from Shizune. Her head tilted downwards and her hair fell over her eyes and cast them in shadow. Oh, was he actually being serious? Shit. I don't want to, but. Quote. Don't worry, Naru-chan, we'll get him to change his mind somehow. Quote. I suppose, but how? Tomorrow, we rained suffering down upon Jiraiya-sama. Shizune finally spoke out in the form of a growl, uncharacteristically promising Jiraiya's fate as a painful one in a surprisingly dark tone, until he changes his mind. Hey, I knew you'd see reason, Shizune. I didn't take you on as my apprentice for nothing, after all. What? You never said anything like that before, Ka-chan. You're just making stuff up. Oh, when will the pain stop? When will you have mercy? Jiraiya wailed. Wait, Naruto immediately interrupted. Is this actual stealth training, or is this, try to get Naruto to help me peek on the hot springs and call it stealth training? Jiraiya looked at his pupil as he carefully considered the question, is there a difference? Arrow uncle, the student growled menacingly, you damn perverted, useless sensei. Like I'd go along with crap like that. Don't lower me to your level. The frog Sanin looked both incredulous and insulted. Are you questioning my training methods? A student should just sit quietly and learn. He demanded imperially. Naruto glared angrily. What the hell? I'm definitely questioning your training methods. I'm telling you that I don't want to learn your peeking skills in the first place. Stealth. Fine. But for the love of God, why did this guy have to sneak peeking in along with any, and in dollar action he could manage to? Wait, was he just trying to piss Naruto off? Since it was a pervert like his uncle, he really couldn't tell. 4. But, before all else, he was his mother's son and endeavored to advance in her medical teachings. Well, though every now and then a distraction would arise. All right, Naru-chan, what's here? Tsunade asked, pointing to a body-sized picture of the human body. What? Naruto said flatly. Skin. You idiot, you know what I mean. Someone's neck. That's it. Tsunade howled as if she'd been pushed to the edge of her tolerance and then been shoulder charged off that edge by Gamabunta. You've been pissing me off all day, explain yourself or be noogied all to hell. It was as if Naruto was waiting for this as some form of K. Acting like you don't know. Ka-chan, the blonde ground his teeth. Tsunade's sigh was a tired and defeated one. Damn it, Naru-chan, I was going to pay you back, really. She already felt guilty about it. Would the brat just let it go? My money. You took my money. You're as bad as Arrow uncle. Naruto was practically hysteric. I still can't believe it. Look. The mother's flustered voice revealed her discomfort. I told you I was only borrowing it. You have so plus in dollar hash. Much. I don't even know how you noticed I took any. Indeed. Naruto had, when he was younger, been allowed into a gambling establishment and walked away several pounds heavier, in cash. He'd let his Nei-chan use most of it to clear off no insubstantial number of debts, but he'd kept a portion of it to himself. Henceforth, this secretly hidden stash had been named the Naruto Ramen and Awesome Stuff Reserve. Truly, it was a sacred and wonderful thing. And to take from this, the most cherished of cherishable stashes of money, was an unforgivable offense indeed. But I needed some sake money. Tsunade almost pleaded, almost. And it was hardly anything. No one touches the Naruto Ramen and Awesome Stuff Reserve, he informed her gravely. It was a 500 yen coin. No one. You. This is. Tsunade. Sanin, mother, and veritable god of medic nins the world over, spluttered indignantly for a response. And besides, you're my precious Ka-chan, and I love you. But, Naruto muttered darkly. Are you expecting me to believe in your ability to pay off debts? What the hell kind of idiot do you think I am? Are you saying I can't even pay back my own son? Tsunade was incensed. If you have it, then give it to me. Naruto demanded. What? That? A short, ominous silence filled the room. Later. I'll give it to you later. You don't have it. Naruto vindictively shouted. You definitely don't have it. Shut up. I'll give it to you later. So sit down and tell me which organ is here. She jabbed her finger at the picture once more, as if she were stabbing it. The slug Sanin then preempted her son's demands, which she knew were coming. And I promise as your mother, I won't touch your stupid money reserve without permission again. That stopped him cold. Naruto blinked, surprised, before sighing and sitting down again passively, still faintly annoyed, but passively, willing to let that be the end of it for now. The parathyroid glands. And what do they do? Tsunade asked in a lecturing tone. She was glad to get that conversation behind her. Honestly, taking 500 yen and replacing it before he noticed, it seemed painfully easy and harmless at the time. Come to think of it, she should have cast an hash and genjutsu on the stupid bag right from the start. Well, it didn't matter anymore. She always kept her promises to Naruto. It was why her promises to him were so scarce in the first place. She'd simply never break one. She'd break her own arm first. She could heal her arm. If it was her heart or her son's trust, she wasn't so sure. Parathyroid hormone. It increases the calcium concentration in the blood. Naruto stated simply. Too easy. Tsunade snapped out of her briefly wandering thoughts. What? Yeah. And here. The heart. It pumps blood throughout the body's arteries and veins. Why the hell are you asking such an easy question? These are important. Each organ has its own function. If someone suffers internal injury and you only know the symptoms, then you need to be able to connect that symptom to an imbalance in their bodies and know which organs were hit right away. Tsunade barked. It should take you 1 second. No, if you're going to be a medic on the field, it should take you less than 1 second. Anything less is a half-assed medic nin. Now again, and faster. What's here? Naruto got it. Someone's life could depend on this. The gallbladder. It stores about 50 milliliters of bile for the digestion of fats. Not enough. What are the properties of bile? And so it continued. Being a medic nin was more than just knowing enough Ijutsu, it was a matter of knowledge of the human body. Incidentally, Tsunade did in fact pay Naruto his 500 yen back at dinner that night, though a particular incident overshadowed that event. She then gave Shizune an IOU note made out to a local noble family worth 500 yen to put with her other debt papers. Naruto's greatest progress was in his chakra control. Having struggled with that issue his whole life, being told that he was growing at a far above average rate was something that flooded him with awe, pride, and perhaps most dominantly, relief. Life was not moving on merely for the Huas, however. Back in the village of Konoha, life had progressed as well. Fire Country. Konoha X. Ino-chan. A bubblegum-haired girl called out. Over here. The blonde girl sighed and made her way over to the swings where her 2-year friend Sakura sat waiting. What were you thinking about? The curious pink-haired girl asked as her once bully took the swing seat beside her. Neither girl was actually using the swing to swing, but it was somewhere to sit this lazy afternoon. It's like you're always daydreaming nowadays. Not always, was the stubborn, immediate response. Okay. Sakura placated. The girl looked a far cry from how she'd been 2 years ago, mostly courtesy of Ino herself. Most notably, her hair now framed her face in a way that didn't have her forehead painted with a figurative, bully me sign. Ino's friends took this time to appear on the scene and amicably take up spots sitting on the grass or against the nearby trees. Hey everyone. One girl spoke up victoriously. I saw Sasuke-kun today. The girl yelled triumphantly. All girl chatter ceased and attention was summarily diverted towards the girl. In a blink, the exited children crowded her, gossip engines running full throttle. The girls seemed to brighten up at the name, minus the notable exception of Ino. Sasuke? Sakura asked eagerly. You mean Uchiha Sasuke? The last Uchiha? Wow. What was he like? What was he doing? An exited black-haired girl asked. He was shopping for vegetables. The first girl informed. Gasps were heard all around, as if this was some strange, epic development. So he likes vegetables. Did you talk to him? Another excitedly asked. Oh no, I couldn't. Uchiha Sasuke. Ino vaguely pondered the name. 3 months ago, a terrifying Uchiha prodigy had apparently gone insane and killed his own clan members. Now only Sasuke was left. The event was being called the Uchiha Massacre, and was yet still the talk of the town. Of course it would be. The Uchihas had made up most of the police force. The lack of their presence on the streets was an easily identifiable thing, even for 8 or 9-year-olds such as themselves. Uchiha Sasuke. The last Uchiha, the child that insisted to live on his own inside that huge Uchiha complex. Everyone spoke of him. All the adults did nothing but sympathize and praise him. Sometimes, the crowd would part for him, or he'd be escorted to eat for free someplace. An independent, quiet, and, according to just about everybody, perfect boy. No wonder he was a hot topic. He was like a real-life fairy-tale prince. Ooh, maybe I should become a ninja after all, the brunette lamented. Sasuke-kun's in the ninja academy already. I want to go too. You can't. It's really tough if your parents aren't ninjas, you know. This Uchiha Sasuke situation, normally she'd be all exited about it as well. He was their age after all, he could be her Prince Charming, her knight in shining armor. On top of that, he was the number one, popular, topic right now. And Ino had a long history of being on the leading edge of such things. But somehow, she just couldn't share Sakura's or the others' enthusiasm. Uchiha Sasuke, really, he seemed so fantastic, but the fact was she didn't like him. She'd seen him around, but he was so cold, and seemed so far away. He didn't seem like the kind of person she could look on as an equal. No, maybe he would even be someone she'd look at as a superior. When everyone else started talking about lovey-dovey stuff regarding Uchiha Sasuke, she kept thinking of that blonde-haired boy who'd stood up to her 2 years ago. If he were here, she could probably argue and talk with him, no problem. She wouldn't have to watch her words or change her hair for him. Strangely, that just seemed more appealing, somehow. She couldn't explain it. Was she being lazy? These thoughts often occupied her. People kept saying that she was looking quite thoughtful all the time. Ino-chan, Sakura called. Snapping back to reality, it seemed that all of Ino's, sometimes friends, and Sakura, her only, constant friend, were up and ready to leave. Ino-chan, let's go. Sakura motioned to the other girls, who were walking away. Without a doubt, Sakura wasn't impressive enough to hang out with such cool kids on her own. What she did have going for her was that she was the only person that Ino hung out with any kind of consistency. And Ino was, basically, popular enough for the both of them. No, I'm not coming today, Ino responded, not getting up from the swing. A brief silence hung in the air, one of contemplation. Hey Sakura, do you remember the day we became friends? Sakura jolted, startled. Huh, you mean at the sandbox? Sakura was half surprised, half bewildered. Where had that come from? Yeah, I'd been looking around for that blonde friend of yours but couldn't find him anywhere, Ino thought back. So then I asked you about him. I remember, I told you about the festival, Sakura reminisced. And do you remember about how he told you to wait somewhere before he went onto the stage, right? Ino pressed. Sakura easily nodded to her question. And you used to go back to that spot and wait around there for hours all the time. Now Sakura was embarrassed. She fixed her gaze by her feet. Yeah. Why did you do it? Ino asked sharply, as if she were impatient. What? Well, I don't know. It's just, Naruto-kun did so much for me, but I couldn't do anything for him. Sakura's embarrassment was overshadowed now by a distant but enduring sadness. The only thing I could do, the only thing he asked me to do, was to wait there for him. That sad look there, Ino recalled, that exact same look 2 years ago was what caused her to suddenly think that Sakura was worth helping out. And from there, a friendship had grown. A very impatient voice grabbed Sakura's attention. Sakura-chan, are you coming with us or not? Is Ino-chan coming? Sakura hastily ran to meet them. No, sorry. Ino-chan isn't coming, but I'm coming. She looked back and waved. Bye Ino-chan. Ino waved back and watched the girl leave, one question still weighing on her mind. Sakura, but then why don't I see you there anymore? 4. The Huas, in their travels, finally made their way outside of Fire Country. There were 2 reasons for this. Firstly, Tsunade deemed Naruto competent enough to travel to these new countries without things being overly dangerous. He was 8 now. Secondly, there was a need to assess Shizune's practical skill level against foreign diseases. This led to the Huas visiting Grass Country to cure a wealthy merchant, who demanded only the best but had, in the face of his death, managed to settle for the best's assistant. Next on the Hau's list of locations, was Wind Country. Among the less worldly educated, a series of particular questions are of unending confusion and amusement. These were questions surrounding the seemingly mismatched naming of other countries. For instance, why exactly is Wind Country called such, when it is clearly much hotter than Fire Country? Naruto, age 8, mused on a great conundrum as he walked alongside his Ka-chan and Nei-chan. As Naruto glanced around at the swirling sands of Wind Country, he realized something. Wind Country really was hot as hell, but it could never be called Fire Country. Indeed, while the heat was truly blistering, fire had no actual place here, for there was nothing to burn. There was simply not enough greenery for fuel in a place as barren as this. Naruto squinted against the harsh wind, which was carrying sand into the air and proved to obscure vision, among doing other things. A white cloth, longer than any scarf, was wrapped around his head and acted as protection from the sun as well as a filter to keep the restless sands out of the young boy's lungs. The rest of his immediate family wore the same. So this is Wind Country, it lives up to its name, as Ka-chan had said. It's unreal. Does the wind really never change direction? It always blows towards the northeast, away from the heart of the country. If a force were to invade, between fighting against the sand and the wind just to reach the village, they'd be dead on their feet by the time they reached halfway to the front gates. And if sand shinobi were mobilized to meet the invaders, they would only have the wind at their backs. It's a natural defensive and offensive advantage. Naruto gritted his teeth. This damn sand, if only it were harder and his foot didn't sink into it all the damn time. Shizune's eyes widened in shock, seeing her Ototo take another heavy step in front of her to stand on top of the sand, and stay there. Shizune, confused and unsure, watched her own footing as she stepped forwards, but was only rewarded with her right leg sinking into the sand under her weight, as always. Her head snapped hastily up to meet the back of her adopted younger brother again. No, you're not hallucinating, Shizune, Tsunade's muffled voice barely made its way to her apprentice's ears. The woman was looking at her adopted son with fondness and pride. She felt an unreasonable urge to brag to somebody. That's the real thing. But Tsunade-sama, Shizune protested. Walking on sand without sinking in was nothing like walking on water. In the end, walking on water was simply a matter of pushing the right quantity of chakra out of your feet, so that you were pushed above it. Doing such a thing on top of sand would do nothing more than send the sand under your feet spraying in all directions as if a fan were strapped to your leg. To walk on sand as without sinking in at all, it involved pushing the chakra out of your feet and grabbing not only the sand, but any gaps of air between the sand and holding everything together, before your foot even lands. It was a technique designed for the desert. Once a person's foot sunk into the sand, no matter how slightly, physical energy and speed were lost. Shizune's eyes were pleading for reason. That's a B-ranked Chunin technique. Tsunade quirked her eyebrow, though she could definitely understand her assistant's confusion. It was a difficult thing to accept, but honestly, her apprentice should be better than this. It's not like we can't do it too, Shizune. Shizune absently stepped onto the sand as well. Yes, she could do it with ease, that was true. Even sand Junins might have difficulty with this act, but it was a matter of chakra manipulation, and in this field Shizune stood far above normal people. Yet she'd had training, and a full day to get it right. But without any training at all, Naruto-kun just did it so suddenly. As if it were nothing. Hearing this, Tsunade was shocked. No, not about Naruto. I can't believe this. You still don't get it. The rules of chakra manipulation that Naruto follows are completely separate from the rules that anyone else uses, Tsunade sighed. It's always been that way. I guess, but it's always strange to think that it could be so drastic. He's come so far in these past 2 years. It's not that it's drastic, Tsunade growled, attempting to drill this point home once and for all. It's that your subconscious keeps thinking his growth should slow down already, but it barely does. This was her genius apprentice. Tsunade made a face. And why the hell are we talking about this at a time like now? Don't forget why we're trekking through this god-forsaken desert in the first place, Tsunade reminded. It's time for your final exams. Indeed. Shizune considered herself Tsunade's apprentice for some time now, and would remain so in the future. However, she was still, unfortunately, considered a student in Tsunade's eyes, rather than a medic enin. A strange notion, considering the black-haired woman's capabilities. The fact was, however, that Tsunade's personal beliefs on what a medic nin should actually be capable of were set quite high. And until Shizune completed this last step, on her own, her mentor would never accept her as a medic nin straight until the day she died. The first test was cleared. Treat a patient in another country, using only local ingredients for the crafting of medicine. Since Naruto was old enough to travel to new countries, she'd finally completed this step. The second one, the harder one, was all that remained. 4. X-Wind Country. Tsunade X. 2 guards stood watch diligently by the gates of Tsunade, the hidden village of sand. They didn't speak a single word to each other. This was not due to a rigid adherence to duty, as Suna might have other villages believe. It wasn't even because they were sulking or silent types by nature. The fact was, they didn't trust each other at all. Was this strange? No. In Tsunade, everyone was afraid of each other. It was ingrained into their bones. The common, silent belief of every person in the village went something like this. It was a village of selfish backstabbers that would do anything for the sake of improving their own lives. But then, it was a harsh and poor life in this village. The pain of monotonous, constant poverty had driven neighbors to each other's thoughts repeatedly. Only the children and those that were drunk on alcohol were spared from the mental taint upon this village, to a point. Just how much of that belief was exaggeration of the truth, and how much of that was reality in itself? Squinting into the distance, the guards spotted an anomaly. People approached from the northeast, where they would have to battle the famed winds of their country head-on. The rightmost guard brought out a small telescope. What could it be? Perhaps they were survivors of a caravan that had been swallowed by a sandstorm. There was a child with them, walking on his own. A mere child walking through the vast and brutal desert. Ninjas, most certainly, and no average ones either. He was focusing on the following woman's face when her hawk-like gaze snapped directly to him. Shit! The guard uncharacteristically exclaimed, stumbling backwards. Did she see him from that distance? 4. Tsunade increased her pace and walked beside her son. She was going to say something, but was predictably cut off. Are we there yet? The boy asked, mirroring a key phrase spoken by children throughout the generations. For the last time, brat. Shut up and have some patience. Tsunade demanded for the umpteenth time. And yes, thank God we're almost there. I can get away from your noisy self and grab some sake. The guards have probably already seen us, Tsunade added. It's not easy to see it, but we're going too far north. We're going to angle south now, so just follow me like the patient child that I always wished you would grow up into but never did. What was that? Came the indignant, if muffled reply. Say that again, Ka-chan, I dare you. Oh, drop it, it's too damn hot to argue. Like hell I'll drop it. I'm patient. The boy insisted, still muffled by the cloth around his head. I'm the most and dollar hash and patient child in the whole damn world. I put up with you, don't I? You brat. Tsunade rounded on her son and prepared to sock him with one hell of a punch, but the heat stole her passion and she soon lowered her vengeful fists. It's too hot for this, she reiterated. Her next words were snapped. Oh, and brat. Lift up that cloth. Huh, Naruto sounded. You mean I can take this stupid thing off? Yes. No. Naruto-kun. Shizune interrupted quickly, instantly beside her Ototo as well. It protects you from the sun, she pleaded. Just lift it enough to show them your forehead, okay? The two identifying symbols of the slug Sanin were, without a doubt, the diamond mark on her forehead and the kanji on her coat. Oh. Naruto blinked. You mean this thing, huh? He asked, doing as he was asked and revealing the blue diamond mark on his own forehead, the one usually hidden by his messy hair, it being a deeper blue than his mother's. 4. 10-year-old Saku Tamari walked casually through the streets, an, in training, version of the standard Suna battle fan being carried on her back. Though she was small, she was recognized as the Cage's daughter and was silently deferred to as she always was. Oh, it gave her no special privilege. Nothing came for free in Sunagaku, but she was treated with the respect that was due to her. Perhaps it was some kind of vain attempt by the cosmos to balance the good with the hellishly bad in her life. Temari's father was a downright cold and distant bastard even by Suna standards, and her youngest brother was a maniacal killer born from the death of their mother and the sealing of a demon, bringing forth a perversion of nature which even her father feared and hated. These were constants in her life, and she could properly surmise that, due to living with Gaara, the Sakyu family was the most frightened family in Sunagaku. Oh, such a prestigious award. But these were still constants. It was normal for her to fear her brother, bearing no comfort from his presence. It was normal to feel that, as the boy's sister, she ought to reach out to him, but it was also normal for her to note that such an act would spell death and pain. But on top of all the everyday shit she routinely put up with, now Kankuro, her other brother, was wearing face paint that she suspected was supposed to make him look like a kabuki actor, but did in fact look eerily closer to makeup, and was now obsessing over a stupid marionette doll. Honestly, this whole world was going insane. Proof of ID, came a voice filled with bland amusement. Tamari looked up from the stall selling cloths for kimono obi. It seemed someone was at the east gate. A tall blonde woman stood haughtily with another woman and a child waiting behind her. 4. Proof of ID. Tsunade sounded vaguely amused, with an undertone of annoyance. That guard had been rude as hell. Who did he think she was? Oh, he was in for some pain. Shizune watched the scene unfold yet again. Naruto, used to this, tapped his foot impatiently and wished his mother would just get it over with. Was this becoming some kind of twisted ritual? He wondered. Hey, alright, you uncouth bastards. Here is, in a flash of movement, her fist was inches in front of the stunned guard, my proof of ID. Flick. Naruto watched the predictable event. And now the guard's sailing, sail ouch. Right into the building. Alright, the other guard responded, unnerved. That will suffice, Tsunade-san. Tsunade coased an eyebrow. S-sama, Tsunade-sama, the guard corrected himself, fearing for his health. Yet he did not feel the killer intent lesson. Heim. Tsunade-heim. Please follow me, Tsunade-heim. The slug Sanin lost interest in the guard at that point. Just lead me to your cage. We're here on personal business. Naru-chan, you want to come? 4. The meeting with the cage was a brief one, there not being much to discuss and the cage not being the type that could muster enough humility as to be a pleasant host. Final exam, the cage's hard voice inquired, lacking humane levels of emotion behind it. Tsunade wasn't fazed. Yes. Why come here? Why? We're here, Tsunade said in pure business tones, for the shoujo family. The cage took a deep breath and leaned back, disguising his surprise. To have curing a new, deadly sickness as your final exam, you're in a class of your own, as expected. Very well. It's an honor to have you reside in Sunagaku. But though the cage's words were polite, they sounded as if they were forcefully pulled from his thought. Frankly, Tsunade didn't care at all. Well, we have permission now. Why don't you go play or something, brat? All that's left is to iron out the details. 4. Unknown to Naruto, Tamari, most analytical of the Sand siblings, had received a discreet command from their father to follow Naruto and befriend him. It was an information-gathering mission. The fact was that family meant little to the cage, and he sought to implement his children as tools where he could. Tamari knew why she was chosen, how could she not? Her analytical mind surpassed Kankuro's and, indeed, anyone else in their age bracket. She'd met this Ho-Oh Naruto, the boy easy to identify as she'd spied him at the village gate before. He'd been tending to a dog, of all things, with a care and precision that seemed out of place for the sake of a mere stray mongrel. He'd turned, seen her, had been confused to hear that she wanted to talk to him, but was clearly interested to hear that she'd proposed a game. The pair sat in the shade of a building, their backs against its wall. Well, Naruto inquired of this strange girl that had not showed him even one genuine smile, even when asking, telling him to play a game with her. What do you wanna play? Temari hesitated. Dare she be so obvious about it? No, even if he suspected something, it wasn't an unusual suggestion, wasn't something that she couldn't explain away. Temari licked her lips. Truth or dare? 2 hours later. She couldn't believe it. They had played truth or dare for all of an hour. It was ridiculous. More ridiculous was that, during that time, Naruto hadn't picked truth even once. From that 1 hour game, what technical specifics she learned about him. Some of the most important discoveries were that he could rub his stomach and pat his head at the same time, was able to multitask several other strange and complicated motions, and that he could do both cartwheels and a fairly good chicken impression. That was it. Whereas he now knew that she had at one point owned a teddy bear, she secretly liked kimonos but didn't own one, and that the reason she kept her hair in pigtails was because it would otherwise resemble something he'd laughingly called a spiky afro. However, during conversation with him as they'd played this game, and now as they merely sat and they talked about Tsunade, she'd learned much more. To her, Ho-Oh Naruto was open, yes. Sometimes painfully so, painful to her, that is. He held no qualms about telling her she was being stupid or mean, and he absolutely wouldn't stand for it without one hell of a fight. He was so brave that he could pick dare every time and, when he was dared to, would hop on one foot, hold the other with his left hand, balance her fan in the palm of her right, stick out his tongue, and whistle, "Mary had a little lamb," all at the same time. Oh, he'd complained. He'd sworn at her too, something she'd learned to get used to. His anger had been obvious and he'd pointed out using highly creative terms that it wasn't fair, but then, that had been the point. Yet her impossible dare hadn't deterred him a bit. Ho-Oh Naruto, Temari realized, wasn't a naive or foolish character, he was simply an very strong and perhaps stubborn character. Besides, he had, after 20 tries and subsequent falls, managed to do her impossible dare, whistling and all. Though she wasn't so foolish as to think she couldn't be wrong after knowing the boy for only an hour or two. No, but she was probably close to the truth. She wondered if her father would want a report on Naruto, but soon stopped that train of thought when the boy in question proposed a game of hide and seek. It may have been a mission at first, but he was her friend now, despite the 2 years she had on him. Yes, his bluntness could annoy her, but it was also refreshing. He was very trustworthy. Or rather, she could trust him to plainly show his intentions or views without bothering to cover anything up. The question was he like that with everyone, or only with people he deemed were not a threat? A small, red-haired child stood a far way detached from the scene but watching ever so intensely. His body was half hidden by the wall of a building he stood behind, such that the kanji for "I" on his right forehead was blocked from view. His eyes tracked the new addition to his village intently. He reached up and tentatively tucked the red kanji distractedly. Love only yourself, live only for yourself. These were the things his Ka-chan said on her deathbed, and the voice in his mind, his mother, had hissed as the sand turned on him and carved the message into his flesh not so long ago. But maybe that new boy, the loud and bright one, would let him play with him. Maybe. It was just so hard to be all alone. And maybe they would let him play. Gaara didn't smile at the thought. He was a child who had forgotten how to smile. And he knew well and deeply that no one would ever let him play with them. Everyone, every single person he'd ever met, had been afraid of him, afraid that he'd kill them. And the voice in his mind, mother, kept telling him to kill everyone. Even his uncle, the only one to ever acknowledge him, had revealed his actions as a purely fake ploy and cursed Gaara's existence. Everyone kept treating him as if he was there to kill them all. But he didn't really want to hurt anyone. He didn't want to be a monster. Could there be another purpose to exist for him? Another reason? Everyone else seemed to have more than one option, they seemed to get to choose theirs. Maybe they would let him play with them this time. And maybe he wouldn't have to be alone after all. Maybe. Omake. An interesting item came up that day, before Tsunade repaid her son the 500 yen. And here, Tsunade asked yet again. They had stopped earlier, but had rejoined this same training a short while ago. It was dark, actually. And Shizune was undoubtedly preparing dinner by now. That's the, come on, Naru-chan, Tsunade prompted, amused. You're a medic nin in training. It's just a technical term, so say it. Hell, he swore all the time, anyways. Kids could be so odd. I know that. Naruto responded hotly, the, male reproductive organ and external organ of urination. Tsunade snorted at her adopted son's face, noting that in the end he hadn't said the organ's actual name. Right. Well, next one, what's? Ka-chan. Naruto interrupted, somehow shy. Huh. This was new. Tsunade wondered what. Well, Arrow Uncle was saying some stuff about it. Jiraiya did. Instantly, the color drained from Tsunade's face. What? She asked, voice hoarse. Well, you know, Naruto scratched the back of his head, embarrassed. He was saying how it really had many more uses, or something like that. He said that I was missing some information and that it was really important. He thought. The horror in the mother's face was joined with the shocked outrage in her voice. Well, it's Arrow Uncle, so I can't be completely sure. Naruto frowned thoughtfully, but is it true that? Yo. The voice of the previously mentioned Arrow Uncle accompanied the unmistakable bang of a front door slamming opened. The Huas do, as it happens, lock their front door, but hey, Jiraiya was a ninja, come on. It would be embarrassing not to pick the lock. Real ninjas didn't consider something that puny as any kind of obstacle at all. Just thought I'd drop by since I was around, Jiraiya reasoned loudly, that the inhabitants of the house could hear him. But, actually, I'm starving. It's been a tough day and I have a huge hunger. Do you know any good restaurants and, hey, that smells like Nikujaga? He yelled, sounding ever so fake to the well-trained ears of the house. What an amazing koinchi-ak. Tsunade had just come skidding through a door to his right. Before Jiraiya had even a chance to clasp his hands together to beg for mercy, he was grabbed by the shirt and pinned to the wall. Jiraiya, Tsunade's voice was ominous in a way that very few things could be. And the fact that she didn't have her, you're annoying, look on, or even her, I'm going to kill you look, but instead was sporting her much feared and respected, I'm going to castrate you in a very painful way, heal you, and then find a far, far, more painful way to do it again, look only scared Jiraiya even more. Jiraiya gulped, he'd seen that look twice before. In his mind, there was little doubt that, had she caught him those times, the look would have proven to be exactly what it sounded like. Just what did you say, to my son? Tsunade sounded vengeful and terror-inducing in a decidedly unhealthy for Jiraiya way. Oh shit, Jiraiya almost said. But of course, Tsunade wouldn't have liked anything but the truth out of him, this very moment. Even so much as a hello could endanger his future. Sighing, the frog Sennin informed Naruto that he was leaving all his possessions to the boy and reluctantly motioned for Tsunade to lean closer. Well, whisper. Tsunade's face became pale, quite pale. And then the color came flooding back. Perhaps too much so. She became red, you see, quite red. Finding no words to adequately express even a fraction of her rage, she made a strange, strangled, squawking sound and gathered a terrifying amount of chakra in her body. She released it in a focused point from her fist, slamming it into the unforgivable pervert's stomach. Naruto watched his uncle sail away through the front door and rack up some truly impressive air time. He turned to his mother, who was huffing and puffing, not with exertion, but raw rage. So wait, does that mean it's all true, then? He asked, confusedly. Thank you so much, Sumain Shuju expressed from her position atop her one-person cot. We don't have any accessible funds at the moment, however I swear that Shizune, by the ill woman's cot and in the process of changing her bandage wraps, sought to ease her patient's conscience. It's all right, she placated. And don't strain yourself, you're still recovering. Yes, but you managed to stop it. I'm so happy, the woman continued, smiling through the bandages covering the majority of the right side of her face. If it had taken my hands from me, I don't know what I would do. No, please don't thank me, Shizune pleaded. If only I had been faster, then you would not look so terrible. And you were so beautiful. Ah, the medic nin apprentice gasped. I'm sorry, Tsunade-san, you're still quite beautiful. Thank you, but it is all right. Even if I lose all semblance of beauty, it is all right. You see, the woman sighed, only my husband is worth anything in this family. What did you say? Tsunade-san. 4. X Sunagaker. Streets X. The streets of Sunagaker had very low traffic, as usual. As every day was a very sunny and hot day, most adults found they would rather stay inside when they weren't out shopping or on business. Children, of course, were a typically different case. The streets of Sunagaker were also an oddity in themselves. The wind in Sunagaker was nowhere near as harsh as it was outside the village walls, but was always present to at least some degree. Small sand patches or mounds could be found across any street, but for the most part, all the sand would be blown until it rested against the wall of some building or other. This created large sand hills attached to buildings that, in one or two places, were so large, you could attempt to scale them and reach a rooftop that way. So it's your mother's secret technique? Tamari queried. It hadn't taken long for her to start feeling odd about spying on her friend. After coming clean to him, the pair of children had been busy finding useless but important sounding information to feed her father. You and your Ka-chan have freakish physical strength, and then you concentrate a ridiculous amount of chakra in the fist and then release it from a singular point in the instant your hit connects. This is the general form of it, right? Tamari asked, for confirmation's sake. The pair had just left the house and was currently on the hunt for a taiyaki stand, as per Naruto's demands. But you know, I'm going to need a name for it. The medic nin in training's face screwed up in thought. This is going to sound strange, but she never actually named it. It's got a few nicknames though. Lots of high-ranked people know that it exists and the rumor mill starts up from there. Let's see, it's been called Golden Fist, Iron Hand, and Magic Finger Fick. Tamari was simply aghast at that last one. What? Naruto sported a bemused smile. Yeah, as to how that one would become popular. Perhaps it's revenge from all the guards that have asked for proof of ID from Ka-chan over the last few years, he theorized. But there's one that's really good. If I'd have to give it a name, I'd call it that. Yeah, and Tamari pressed. This was perfect. It was a secret technique, but lots of people knew about it, and it was uncopyable to boot. Ka-chan doesn't talk about it, but according to the story I keep hearing, back when she was teamed up with the other Sannin, she used it to KO a huge, berserk snake summon somewhere. Wow. Yeah. They started calling it God Hand. 4. A lonely, tired boy watched the two blondes walk off. They're outside again, the aforementioned lonely boy mumbled to himself. Outside, are they going to play? His voice was raspy from underuse. If he hadn't started talking to himself, if he hadn't kept talking to his dead Ka-chan, then maybe he wouldn't have any voice left at all. I know how to play, he stated, hoping that counted for something. He flinched, grasping his head in pain. Yes, I know all their games. I've been watching, and no, I don't want to kill them, mother. I want to play. I want to try. For the complete entirety of his life, he had been shunned by all whom he had tried to befriend. What incredible property of humanity asserted itself so that he would still be trying after all this time? Perhaps it was the spirit of the gambler that resided within this boy. Maybe. With the next try I will win, maybe with just one more try I may win the jackpot. Oh, wouldn't it be glorious, to have just one friend? The tired, lonely boy took a chance, for he had little to lose and a dream as his prize. And with this, he stepped forwards, silenced the demon he thought was his mother, and cast the die for all he was worth on this last, desperate gambit. 4. X-Wind Country. Desert, Shizune's portable shelter X. Yes, you see, I am only a shoujo by marriage. Really, I'm just a peasant girl from the slums of the capital, Tsunade smiled. Back then, my husband was a very popular bachelor. I will admit he was not that handsome, but he was wealthy and dependable. Beautiful noble women were dogging him day and night. Oh, but I'm rambling. And no, please continue. Shizune demanded, perhaps a bit too eagerly. Oh, she loved these kinds of romance stories. It was her secret hobby, though she suspected her mentor and Odoto knew about it already. It's very interesting, but please don't strain yourself, Shizune insisted, finished removing the bandages from her patient's face. It took years of experience with ugly injuries and diseases for Shizune not to recoil from the sight. In the after effects of a devastating new strand of flesh-eating disease, Shuju Tsunade's right face was an unsettling and twisted mess. Her nose and right ear seemed to almost have melted into themselves. The chasms, gaps of space where pieces of her face ought to rightly be, looked little more than a bastardization of nature, and one would wonder how such a deformation would still leave all the necessary bits intact for a person to remain alive. As if to eternally mock her, the left side of Tsunade's face was pristinely untouched by deformity. If she could have seen her reflection, she would have surely cried. Or vomited. Actually, probably both. You're tired, aren't you? Go to sleep. I've sent word to the village that your situation is no longer a threat. Staff will be coming by later today to help look after you, and we'll be moving your family back to the village in the morning. Oh, you must be glad, Tsunade mused. Smiling, she added, you'll also be able to head back and see your brother, won't you? The one you always talk about. With the way that smile made her face look, a lesser experienced Shizune would have lost her lunch. As it was, she showed no visible signs of disgust in any form. Yes, I was thinking of going ahead once the helpers get here. You sound quite concerned. Well, Shizune began, embarrassed, it's just that he can get into such trouble, sometimes. 4. By the way, Naruto began, ready to switch into his lecturing pose, you shouldn't ever try it. Try to copy God Hand, and you'll just blow your arm off. Is it really as simple as you made it sound earlier? Tamari asked dubiously. I mean, no matter what you say, if it isn't limited by bloodline, then it should be copyable in theory, right? What? No, are you really listening to me? Naruto demanded. You're not, are you? I already told you, you can't copy it. Oh, come on, Tamari persisted, ignoring her friend's foul mouth. The books say that gathering that much chakra into just a point that small is suicide, but if you do it, then it must be possible, and so logically. Logic this, logic that, Naruto mocked, everything's logic, with you, Tamari-chan. The boy scowled. You sound like a damn parrot. Now that riled her. What did you say? The blonde girl demanded. Do you have some problem with logic? And you call yourself a medic nin? Hey, I don't ever want to be on your illogical operating table. Okay, you know what? Naruto demanded, frustrated. Hell, fine, try it. Just try the damn thing. He dared. Flatly, he continued. I'll be the first kid in history to try healing an exploded arm. Tamari grimaced. I get the picture. No thanks. I guess you can't really try to figure it out if your arms explode, she bluntly theorized. She didn't really care, anyways. It was Naruto's business, she'd just been curious. Anyways, the taiyaki stand is, her proposition was cut short as she watched the preceding events with shock. Tamari, who had secretly harbored doubts that a medic nin in training could be half as combat-worthy as Naruto claimed to be, had her doubts erased. It had happened in a blur of movement. 1 second, the boy was stumbling forwards, the next second he had pivoted on his heel, spun a full 180 degrees, and had his fist a mere 2 inches from the face of their shadow. What? Naruto narrowed his eyes, confused. That killing intent had been insane, like a red-hot javelin of hate being thrust into his consciousness, so abrupt and sharp and focused that it had even caused him to stumble. An assassin, surely. I just want to play, the redhead whispered, eyes so wide and fearful like some deer staring down the barrel of a revolver. Like a child staring down death from 2 inches distance. Gee, the ever-calm Tamari stuttered, Gara. She stumbled backwards, away from the monster. She should escape. No, running would only trigger the animal instinct. She had seen it before. Her brother, would hunt her down and crush her underneath the malevolent sand. It would slay her for sport, if nothing else. From her spot behind her blonde friend, Tamari caught sight of the sand shifting at his feet, encircling the area where he stood. Her fear redoubled. The blonde medic nin in training had yet to lower his arm. She knows him. He didn't take his eyes off the newcomer. Tamari-chan, he said, sounding calmer than he felt. Who is this guy, and why the hell is he leaking killing intent? Naruto-kun, a monster, a predator, and a murderer. He'll kill us. He'll really kill us. I just want to play, the boy repeated. The fist in front of him seemed to be radiating force, the feel of it was raising the hair on the back of his neck. Would he be hurt? Would he die? Did it really, truly matter? He begged like a broken record, begged like a broken child. I just want to play. You. Naruto looked over this red-haired youth, noting the black circles around his eyes. Face paint. No. Signs of insomnia. Really advanced signs of insomnia. Leaking killing intent but not wanting to hurt him, perhaps a case of split personalities. Would that even work? Naruto's mind still could not reconcile the situation properly. Something was off. Some vital point was bothering him at the back of his mind. Finally, the fist smoothly lowered and the stored charka within dissipated back into the boy's system. So you aren't here to hurt me? Or Tamari-chan? The blonde demanded. No. Yes. And no. Kill them. Crush them. Bathe in their glorious blood. No. Stop it, Ka-chan. Please. The blood. Don't you want to see that coppery, wonderful liquid spilling between your fingers, making you alive? No. I just want to play. Silence stretched out for eternity. One could only guess at what weighing system was used within Naruto's mind to determine the threat level of such a strange newcomer, but finally. You're pretty weird, but it's not like I'm normal or anything, the boy trailed off, scratching his chin in thought. Well, all right, he proclaimed decisively, grinning at last, but try anything funny, and I'll really kick your ass. My name's Ho-Oh Naruto. Really? Truly? Disbelief reverberated within Gaara's mind. He'd been accepted. Insolent child, the shrill words of a demon echoed, what are you doing? Not now, mother, came the immediate reply, I'm going to play now. The words were tinted with reverence. No, I hunger for death. Stop wasting time. Nah, Naruto. The boy looked back. What was Tamari-chan doing on the floor? What's up, Tamari-chan? Nah, Naruto-kun, but Temari's eyes found Gaara's, and the madness that lurked therein. I have to go. Huh. Naruto had absolutely no idea what to make of his friend's behavior, as she sprinted away like hell was on her heels. And she called him weird. He'd just gotten a new playmate, but lost the other one. Geez, still couldn't do any 3-player games. Anyway, my name's Ho-Oh Naruto. Let's be friends. He introduced once more when he noted that he still didn't know this guy's name. He held out his hand. But damn it, I still want my taiyaki, so we're absolutely going to find that first. Gaara stared at the proffered hand, then back to the smiling, honest face of Ho-Oh Naruto. Friend. Really? Truly? What? The blonde taiyaki-deprived boy deadpanned. They don't have handshakes in Sunagaku. Sakugara. The boy's raspy voice grated out, his hand imitating the blonde's in an attempt at a handshake, for he knew not even this. And, arigato. As the insomniac made to shake his hand, Naruto felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise. Something was wrong. So wrong. There was, of course, the palpable aura of hatred leaking from this newcomer. It was dull, but it didn't really feel like it was coming from Gaara himself. No, that wasn't the problem. That killing intent was dull and steady. So where the hell did that focused spear of killing intent come from earlier? Shit. There it was again, focused, clear as day, and coming right from Gaara. Damn it. Naruto immediately turned his handshake into a violently strong grip and pulled. Thunk. Well, this is new, Naruto muttered, standing above his new playmate, whom he had only just thrown to the floor. It seems that I'm not even the target this time. The kunai had been heading for Gaara's back, but had found its home in Naruto's stomach instead. Roughly, he pulled out this instrument of death. Good, the wound was not very deep. He'd close it up momentarily. Quickly, the wounded boy searched the rooftop for some black-cloaked figure, but none was found. Seems I was right. The second killing intent didn't really come from Gaara, but rather some spot behind him. Damn it, you bastard assassin, where are you? Gaara lay on the sand which had caught him in his fall, stunned and looking up at the back of the one that had helped him. F for me, you. Naruto looked at the downed boy over his shoulder, seeing a similar but different shock to the one he'd seen on a pink-haired friend's face those years ago. He shot the boy a reassuring smile. You'd better explain this shit later. Ga, Naruto's words trailed off in surprise. What the hell, he was under a genjutsu. No, the kunai, kai. The genjutsu disappeared. A yellow slip of paper revealed itself to be connected to the bloodied kunai still held in Naruto's right hand, covered in intricate patterns and fluttering in the ever-present wind of Tsunade. With all haste, Naruto tried to get the kunai and its electrocution note the hell away from himself. It was half terrifying and half mesmerizing for Gaara as he watched Ho-Oh Naruto scream in pain, blue electricity dancing around his form in a prolonged torture session, visibly arcing from spot to spot on his body. Body still standing, but racked with spasms as a volts of energy sparked and raced across his body. Naruto. It lasted but a few pained seconds, but the voltage of the electrocution note left Naruto panting on his side upon the ground, his inhuman strength all but useless. His body was yet having difficulties responding. Breathing made erratic from the painful experience, he looked at Gaara, who had risen to stand above him, and back to the kunai in his hand. Shit, he groaned. That wasn't a normal electrocution note. If I hadn't removed it from my stomach before it activated, then I might even be. The boy raised eyes back to the red head he'd saved. From his prone position on the ground, he managed to ask the most vital question. Just who the hell is after you? And why? Why the hell are you looking at me as if I'm horrifying? Blood? Ka-chan, no, Gaara's horrified whisper matched his horrified face. He could feel it. The ghostly clawing of his mother had begun to scratch at his mind. Look at the blood, the shrill voice insisted, growing louder by the word. He helped me, he didn't know about your sand. He thought I would be hurt or killed. He is strong. I can feel the energy within him. It floods his veins. Kill him, take his life and let it give meaning to your own. He's accepted me, Ka-chan, we're going to be friends. The boy winced, and clutched his head in both hands. You can't hurt him. Give it to me, the voice demanded, more senseless than ever. You will give me his blood. No, Ka-chan, I don't want to kill. What the hell, was all Naruto managed to whisper in response to the sight above him. Blood. The ground below Naruto outright exploded in a shower of death. 4. What's going on? Tamari whispered, feeling the explosion of killing intent. This feeling. This will to slaughter anything that lives, Shukaku. Her legs felt weak, as they always did in the face of the pure maleficent intent that was Shukaku, the Sand Tanuki demon. Gaara. Naruto. She had left those two together. She turned towards the direction of the killing intent, but found she could not move. Naruto-kun, tears brimmed in her eyes, I'm sorry. And she continued to run away. 4. Shish shit. Naruto cursed. The sand below him had exploded upwards and, forming what Naruto could only call a giant sentient stream, had slammed him into a nearby house wall with terrific force. He was pinned, limbs restrained as the mass of sand smothered them utterly. He felt the sand grains crawling up his skin, making their way to his throat. D-damn, Naruto thought, feeling the sand contract in an effort to squeeze the air and life from his body. He was terrified. His body was still recovering from the effects of the electrocution note, and no matter how tough he was, no one could survive without oxygen. If I could move properly. Even an arm. But then what? Just how was he supposed to fight off sand? How could he break it? Shit. That's some gratitude you have there, Gaara. Ka-chan. Stop it. Gaara screamed, clutching his head. You'll kill him. He's my friend. Why? When he was given a chance. Why? Just when the future looked so new and exiting. Please. Please, Ka-chan. Oxygen. I need oxygen, Naruto thought dazedly. Blots of blackness were already beginning to obstruct his vision. I'll lose consciousness soon. If that happens, then what will I? The boy's thoughts were interrupted by another boy's incessant pleas for his, Ka-chan, to stop. Gaara. What the hell? Sand made its way into his mouth. It made as if to pour down his thought and do who knows what to his insides. It was an unnatural, disgusting feeling that filled him with a frantic dread. But then, a miracle, Naruto could feel his right arm again. The boy scowled. Let's do this. Throwing his strength behind the movement, he pushed his right arm forwards, breaking free of the sand. What is he doing? My sand cannot be stopped. The demon chortled in its host's mind before quickly, insanely, changing thought trains entirely. He's strong. Truly worth the kill. Struggle and squirm before you die, my worm. My prey. Ho-Oh, Naruto isn't pinned so easily. He thought fiercely, taking the arm he had broken free and slamming it backwards. Come on. God hand. With an audible boom and crack, the wall behind him blew open for a 4-foot diameter, and Naruto tumbled backwards into the room beyond. The occupants of 102nd Rappo Street watched in horror as a sizable portion of their wall literally imploded and a boy came spilling in, covered in sand. They clutched each other and shared tear-stained looks, knowing that with all the killing intent in the air, that sand surely belonged to Tsunagaku's resident monstrosity. Naruto choked violently even as he rolled to his feet. He needed to get that sand out of his system. He didn't trust it at all. The sand that had spilled into the room with him seemed to just be lying there. What was going on here? The medic nin in training glanced to his right and saw a family clutching each other in absolute terror, looking at the sand, not him, the person that had fallen in, as if it were the devil itself. Gaara panted, crouched on the floor. Had he regained control of the sand? His mother had suddenly stopped. Ka-chan. He tried, tentatively. Wonderful, the voice whispered in awe. Gaara doubted he'd heard right. His Ka-chan seemed almost calm. What? Truly wonderful. The voice regained its shrill insanity with startling ease. Such raw power. I love it. Come to me. Shukaku cried, come to me and die. Absolutely. Completely. Craptastic, Naruto declared. The sand had been lifeless for all of 12 seconds before reanimating. In an impressive display of skill for his age, he had just finished closing his stomach wound through Aijutsu. He looked back at the family whose home he had invaded. They still clutched each other in fright. He looked at the sand and noted that it was gathering into what would probably be another attempt to pin and crush him. Well shit. He spun around and cocked back an arm. Let's take this outside, you bastard. God hand. Making an exit of the nearby wall, Naruto made his escape into the more manageable outside street. Gaara watched as Naruto practically exploded back out of the house he had exploded into. His Ka-chan had never cried for blood so loud, and it was making his head hurt with a pain that was almost crippling. She wanted control. Total control to pull forth her full power, but he fought her, he resisted. And that resistance was killing him. He's my friend, the boy whimpered. Friend. Shukaku challenged. Friend. You have no friends. Friends are for killing. Look into the eyes of your friend. And indeed, even through the pain Gaara could make out the icy cold glare Naruto had fixed on him as the blonde made a wide circle of his position, dodging streams of sand all the while. He meant business. And no, that's just because you hurt him, Ka-chan, Gaara tried. But there was not much faith behind his own protests. He had been hurt too many times. He will kill you. Protect yourself. Kill him back. Shukaku cackled. Naruto glared angrily at Gaara. Damn it, what was going on? Didn't that guy say he didn't want to hurt him just a while ago? He was clutching his head and talking to himself. No matter how you look at it, he didn't seem to be consciously controlling the sand. Was it really a case of split personalities? One thing was for sure. Who or whatever was doing this was a real bastard that was going to get his ass kicked so hard. Another stream of sand of a seemingly endless supply came flying at him from the side. Throwing out another god hand punch, and scattering a good 5 meters of the sand column to the wind, Naruto knew that he wasn't doing anything more than buying time. This is ridiculous, why can't I even sense this sand? It doesn't have a chakra signature. No way, my chakra sense never fails me like this. The thought sent a chill down his spine. His most trusted sense was useless, this had never really happened before. What's going on? Damn it, is it that day again? The boy's eyes snapped wide, he hadn't watched his step. Shit, I stepped on a sand hill. With a startled yell, he was hoisted into the air by the ankle. Chance. Shukaku chortled. Feel the wrath of hell. Naruto, dangling upside down by his right ankle, stared as every particle of sand within a 1-block radius formed into more than 15 tendrils of death before him. The feat was truly mind-boggling. Gee, give me a break. There's a limit to how ridiculously shitty a day can get. Naruto stared as the tendrils shot towards him. Damn it, I am not losing to some goddamn stupid, freaky sand. I'm done messing around with you, Gaara. The boy slammed his hands together. Karyu. Shukaku itself was dumbfounded. What is this little human doing with all that chakra? Enden. Just as Naruto's vision at that moment must have been clouded by masses of sand, Gaara's vision in the next moment was blanketed by an angry red. A roaring dragon head billowed forth of such size that it occupied the entire width of the street. Gaara, literally, had nowhere to run. Ah! The red-haired boy screamed, throwing his arms up before his face in futile defense, eyes shutting tight. 4. Tsunade stiffened. Running on instinct, she spun to her direct left, only to face a 2-story tall Karyu Enden barreling down the street towards her. With an almost insulting ease, she held her palm onto the charging beast as it reached her, releasing an impact of chakra from her palm, dispelling the monstrosity instantly. Weak. Sure, it was big, but the chakra was so spread out that it was little more than a glorified heat wave. It must have come from quite a ways, though, as she couldn't see the source. Naru-chan, she pondered, feeling the remnant chakra left behind. It's not like him to practice different forms of Karyu Enden in the middle of the city. Though, looking around, it seemed as if the residents of Tsunade had holed themselves up. The street was deserted. Did the brat get this whole area's cooperation? I don't like this, it's suspicious. What does this village know, that I don't know? Frowning, she left for the direction the Karyu Enden had come from. Naru-chan's supposed to be safe here. Goddamn cage, if that bodyguard you promised me isn't looking out for my son, I won't stand still. Tsunade-sama, a desperate, urgent voice hollered. What? Startled, the slug summoner turned to face the source of such a panicked voice. What was it now? No. This person. You. What are you doing here? Tsunade-sama. Shizune pleaded, panting in exhaustion. She'd sprinted most of the way here. Please come with me right away. I need your help. Something. Looking closely, Tsunade noted the tears brimming in her apprentice's eyes. Something terrible happened. 4. Gaara's breathing was quick. He was still alive. In fact, he hadn't been touched at all. It took a while for the boy to recall that, hey, his sand would have protected him from anything. It took one more second to recall that his mother had been mercilessly bent on his first friend's destruction, leaving him undefended for perhaps the first time of his life. Whymi, still. Clever prey. Shukaku cooed. Sneaky prey. That fire was only meant to stop my sand, and cover your escape. You fooled me. The tanuki cheered in congratulations. You're so interesting, so interesting. Hearing this, Gaara whipped his head around. It was true. In the few seconds he had had his eyes clamped shut, Naruto had disappeared. Suddenly, Gaara felt hunted, exposed here in the middle of the street. As the seconds ticked by at their painfully slow pace, his unease heightened. And no, Naruto-san won't really kill me, will he? No, would that really be so bad? To die, I have tried to do so on my own, and Ka-chan's sand always stopped me. Would it be so bad? Should I die, or should the one that had been willing to give me a chance die? I don't want either. If the fight could just stop. If I could just have my chance back. And so, the minutes ticked by, until. Oh, but you don't know what's going on, do you, pray? You're not fighting my host, you're fighting me. And I follow you by chakra sense, did you know? The tanuki all but sang. And guess what? I found you. The second-story window to Gaara's left broke open as Naruto dived through it, kunai drawn, icy glare set, and making a beeline for the demon host boy. Tu Bod Shukaku sang, it had picked up the fool boy's position easily. It was fun, but now it's time to die. A thin stream of sand shot up to meet the descending boy. This time, instead of trying to merely catch him, the chakra-laden sand pierced straight its target's stomach. And no. Gaara cried, Ka-chan, what did you? But Gaara was cut short, rendered speechless as the mortally wounded Naruto disappeared in a small explosion of smoke. What? What? Kage Bunshin, a cool voice from behind explained. Gaara spun around, shocked and terrified, only to have Naruto's closed, power-radiating fist inches from his face for the second time this day. He became almost paralyzed in fear. Naruto locked eyes with Gaara. I know. The chakra signature is really realistic, isn't it? Kage Bunshin even fooled my chakra sense back when Arrow Uncle pulled that fake assassin stunt. He continued to talk, noting that Shukaku, fortunately, seemed interested enough to put the fight on pause. I heard all about it. How you sense out your surroundings, Shukaku Yuru. Tamari-chan told me. Who's this? Tamari. Shukaku asked of her host, holding a list of priorities that was just irrational enough for the demon to neglect the veritable chakra bomb hovering an inch before her host's nose. Gaara, the boy on the other end of that chakra bomb began seriously, can you get control back? And on your face there, are those tears? You really didn't want to kill me, did you? Control, he said, exclamation mark. An almost musical chortling made itself known inside Gaara's mind. But the boy barely heard it. Naruto-san, you would look on a monster like me, with those kind eyes. For someone like me, as if this child could take control from me. Stop it, Ka-chan, the boy whispered, voice shaken but resolute as steel, falling to his knees and discarding all care for himself, just stop it. What is this? You've been fighting me all day. Insolent child, you cannot win. There, mid-noon in a nameless Sunagaker street, a child waged war upon a demon with such ferocity within his poor, limited mind, that it brought blood to his eyes. Stop it, Shukaku, he cried, clutching his head in pain and raw determination. He couldn't feel his legs, they were not important, not something worth focusing on. Right now, Sakugara's whole world was on the plane of wills. He didn't even notice that for the first time, he had called the demon by its real identity. 4. X Sunagaker Street. Rooftops X. G. Gaara, Tamari whispered in horror. She could faintly make out the blood running from the boy's nose and eyes as he kneeled, head clutched violently in his hands as he screamed at Shukaku with all his soul. Naruto was now crouched by the Gaara's side, hand on the other boy's shoulder, shouting his support. Is that really, Gaara? She clutched tightly the fan in her hands. It was really working. Earlier. Damn, Naruto panted before slumping down onto the rooftop. It was a good 2 houses away from where Gaara was. That Karyuenden had taken a lot out of him, but he remained alert. Who's there? He demanded in a whisper. He really didn't want Gaara to find him out just yet. Naruto-kun, Temari whispered back, finishing climbing up her grappling hook to the roof. It's me. Temari-chan, what are you doing here? What, indeed, was she doing here? She had tried to run away from this, she really honestly had. But she must be a fool, because she just couldn't do it. Sorry I'm late, Naruto-kun, she apologized with a slightly strained smile. I had to go get my fan from my house. I'm no good without it. But you got away on your own, Naruto-kun. She whispered excitedly. Come on, let's get going before he finds us. Temari. Naruto-kun, what are you doing? We have to go. Move. Temari-chan, Naruto spoke firmly, tell me about Gaara. Never mind that, let's go. I'll tell you later, she insisted, crawling back to her grappling hook. They'd make their way down using this, then retreat to her house until Gaara calmed down. No, that wasn't enough. Gaara was far too excited, he'd chase her friend down forever. Naruto would have to leave Sunagakure immediately, so. Temari-chan, I'm not moving, the boy insisted, looking more serious than Temari had ever thought possible for him, not until you tell me about Gaara. You stubborn idiot. But she had told him, knowing no other option. She had told him in as concise form as her impressive intellect could muster, all the important points she knew about Gaara and his life. Naruto? Temari asked, tentatively. At the end of these explanations, Naruto lay staring at some point beyond the clouds above. She had never seen the boy look so passive and distant. His expression seemed both pained and filled with distaste. But what stole Temari's voice the most were the unshed tears in his eyes. I understand, Naruto muttered, smiling so sadly that it was almost painful to watch. I understand, so well. He's seen those eyes every day. Those hateful but terrified eyes, walking down the street and being surrounded by them all of his life. Different. Yes, forever, fundamentally different. Forever strange, almost controlled mutation of humanity. The boy rose to his feet slowly. Everything makes sense now. He wiped his eyes on a tattered sleeve, thanks to Temari-chan. Naruto-kun. She didn't like the new expression of determination on her friend's face. Just stop, you can't beat Gaara. It's just not Gaara. Naruto glared down at his opponent below. That damn Shukaku bastard. Naruto-kun, you're not listening to me. You just can't beat him. Temari pleaded for reason. You're right. Naruto nodded. Really? Great. She enthused, hesitantly getting up as well. She hoped they wouldn't be spotted. Let's go. I can't take out that demon without taking out Gaara, the boy grumbled, frowning in thought. He'd need to create an opening. He'd have to distract Shukaku. The boy slammed his hands together in the shadow seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. You know what to do. Good. Make it loud and startling, all right. Temari froze in shocked indignation as the Bunshin sprinted off over the rooftops. Why you? Are you giving weight to my opinion at all? But wait, could he really beat Gaara? He'd lasted this long, maybe. Quickly, she re-evaluated the situation. Running wouldn't solve the problem forever, nothing would. Gaara would be the terrifying promise of death forever. Unless, Naruto-kun, listen, Temari said, grimacing. She knew he wouldn't like what she had to say. If Gaara were to, pass away, then everything is solved, right? Overcome by shock, Naruto gripped Temari by her upper arms and fought hard not to yell obscenities even his mother rarely used. What the hell are you saying? He's your brother. Naruto, Temari began solemnly, Seriously, even despite the painful grip Naruto had on her, I haven't called him, Odoto, even once in my life. And he hasn't called me, Nei-chan, either. Do you understand? We're just a shell of a family. And the person that wants to kill Gaara the most is our father, our Kazekage himself. Fine. He didn't like it, but he could understand it. But let me tell you something, Tamari-chan, the boy enunciated his words with care. Since the start of this freaky fight, that shell of a brother of yours has never stopped fighting for my sake. Screaming and clutching his head, he's been trying to rein in Shukaku this whole time. Gaara has. She could not believe, she could not reconcile. That monster she had feared all of its life. Tamari-chan, Naruto began again, his solemn tone giving yet more weight to his words. In my family, we believe something. The boy paused, reciting an, until now, unspoken oath he kept close to his heart. You are never to let your comrades die. The boy's fists clenched at his sides, not without one hell of a fight. And so saying, Naruto jumped backwards off of the 4-story building. Naruto-kun. Tamari dived after him, but was only treated to the sight of his back as he ran vertically down the wall. I shouldn't be surprised, I guess, she proclaimed to herself. Present time X. Tamari stared, only able to guess the kind of war occurring in her younger brother's mind. Never let your comrades die, is it? Unconsciously, she clenched her fan tighter in her hands. Naruto-kun, be careful, I heard the seal used for Shukaku was cracked and imperfect. 4. Gaara, hang in there. Naruto shouted to a mop of reed hair. Gaara's head was almost resting on the ground as he grunted in effort. You live for me, insolent child. Give me your body back. You fool, what are you doing? Listen to me, Gaara. Not getting a response, Naruto grabbed Gaara by the shoulders and forced the boy's blood-stained eyes to meet his own. Damn it, listen. You have to fight it. You didn't choose to have a demon sealed inside you, but all those people are scared, right? No one wants to try to know you, right? I understand it very well, but are you just going to let that damn parasite rule your life? He asked in a strained, almost pleading voice. Stand up for yourself, Gaara. Don't ignore your worth. My worth, Gaara echoed. Managing to say this much was an accomplishment when one felt as if they were playing tug of war with one's own soul. You will live for me, you will die for me. No, no, shut up Shukaku. If not for me, then who? Live for yourself then, kill all the others, that is fine too. Just bring me death. No, not for you, and not just for myself. Then what? You useless little killer, what will you live for? I don't know. Then give me your body. I will live in your place. No. What is my worth? Gaara ground out. I never found it. All this time. Naruto, do you know how many people I've killed? The question offset Naruto. What? No. Naruto-san, I tried to keep count, he pleaded. T tried to keep track, but I couldn't. Too many. See, could you tell me how many I killed? Wanted to say sorry to them, just once. Gaara, I'm a monster. What is the worth of this monster? Isn't it obvious? Resilient but useless child. The worth of a monster is just how much it kills. We have this in common. Stop fighting me. A monster. Gaara, you, damn it, come with me. Naruto demanded, hoisting the other boy to his feet and all but dragging his limp body towards the nearest house. I don't care if it's locked, we're coming in. 4. The residents of 98th Rappo Street knew that locking the door would do little against the monstrosity that was Gaara. Really, when their door exploded inwards, they were not all that surprised. What they were, was paralyzed in fear. A mirror. Naruto demanded of the residents. Give me a mirror. Now. Quickly spotting a plain, full-length mirror to the left, he dragged a staggering Gaara before it. Look at yourself, Gaara, he demanded. You tell me you're a monster as much as you want. I'll never believe you while your eyes look like that. My eyes. Straining, Gaara looked and saw in his eyes only pain and blood. Yes. Those insomniac eyes. Naruto declared, fiercely. I haven't heard of such an advanced case in my life. Shukaku will come after your soul if you sleep, right? It'll tear at your defenseless mind, right? Gaara, haven't you been fighting sleep all this time because you wanted to stay human? He challenged. Human. Go for it, Gaara. Naruto encouraged. Itsuke, but life isn't fair sometimes. Sometimes, just to get the thing that everyone else already has, you'll have to fight like hell. Yes, even gaining an average level of chakra control was hell, wasn't it? All those frustrations. Always thinking I was so inferior. I've been through such a fight, Gaara. I'm telling you it can be won. So saying, Naruto clutched the trembling boy's left hand with firm camaraderie. And after all this shit is over, he began, eyes and voice taking a softer tone, let's go eat some taiyaki together. It's a promise. Human, Gaara whispered with longing and awe, as if he had reached a great epiphany. More than anything else, what I always wanted, was to stay human. I just wanted to be normal. I just wanted to be liked. Friends. Family. If I could just have these things. If I could have them. I would live for them. I am impossible. Where is your puny human mind getting this strength? Stop it. Stop. Those present at this scene would later swear that, just for a moment, the entire world had seemed to tremble with the force of one boy's will. Omake. One day, Temari had coerced Naruto into playing an indoor game. To be precise, she coerced him into being her figurative punching bag in a game of chess. So this piece goes like that, Naruto triumphantly declared, slamming the little wooden castle down with determination. Ha! This isn't so hard. Check. PFT. Temari tried to restrain her laughter, and failed. You utterly fell for my trap. Crap. Naruto could merely watch hopelessly as his awesome castle was defeated by a mere horse. You always beat me in tag or hide and seek, Naruto-kun, but in the world of tactical board games, I am invincible. The blonde girl declared boldly. Regarding my 0-32 loss against you in hide and seek, this is my counterattack. You won't get a single match from me. Is that so? Naruto challenged. We'll just see about that. He taunted, slamming down upon. Slow and steady, he'd inch towards her defenses and when she was least expecting it. Bam. Checkmate. PFT. Temari resisted another short bout of laughter, and yet again failed. Wow, you're really no good at this, Naruto-kun, Temari mused, knocking over the knight that had been previously protected by Naruto's pawn with her queen. You weren't bad at shogi, so I thought you'd be okay at this. How come? Isn't chess more popular back in Fire Country? Well, Naruto sighed, there's a logical explanation for that, but it's a bit stupid. That really caught Temari's interest. Huh, what do you mean? You see, the boy reluctantly began, it's true that chess is supposed to be popular back there, but you know, you won't find many people betting about chess. Compared to that, in Fire Country people sometimes make small bets about shogi. So, you're saying that? Yeah, Naruto admitted irritably, Ka-chan only bought us shogi and mahjong sets. PFT. Aha. Aha ha 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 ha. Temari couldn't help herself. For that reason alone, what an incredible dedication to gambling. But she always lost. Biwa ha ha ha. Oh, my sides hurt. I'm laughing too hard. Oh wow, that was simply too much. Shut up. Nothing's wrong with shogi, Naruto protested. And I'd toast you in mahjong. Ah ha ha. Somehow, despite nearly incapacitating mirth, Temari managed to slide her queen over and take Naruto's bishop. Laugh it up. Naruto scoffed, irritably, ha. Look at this, you left your queen right in the line of fire. Triumphantly, he took Temari's queen with his king. The queen was the most powerful piece available in chess. Unfortunately, rather than sobering the laughing blonde, Naruto's move served only to increase her terrible mirth. Ah ha 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 ha. Ch oh ho 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 ho. Checkmate. Ah. Ah ha ha ha. Damn it. It took a while before Tamari finally stopped laughing. Woo. Oh, my cheeks hurt, that was so funny. Seeing her friend's blatantly unamused face, Tamari brought herself under control. Sorry Naruto-kun, it was just way too funny. Hey, let's play again, but I should get some kind of handicap. What? That's no fun, Naruto protested. Besides, I don't need your pity. Oh, come on, Naruto-kun, think about it like this. I'm not even really trying right now, Tamari lectured. With a handicap, it'll let me face unusual, disadvantageous situations so I can get better. Help me train, alright. Geez, fine, Naruto assented reluctantly. Right, Tamari began her dictation. I'll flip a coin whenever my turn comes, and if you call it right then we'll just skip my turn, alright. Ah, but you still have to end it with a checkmate, alright. Flip a coin, Naruto asked dubiously. Are you sure about that? Sure. The randomness will also make it interesting. Well, oh come on, Naruto-kun. You think I'll have a chance of losing? She asked, amused, PFT. Ah ha 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 ha. Damn it. You're on. X later X. What? How? Tamari sat, shell-shocked. That was surprisingly boring, Naruto observed. I told you it was a bad idea. But, Tamari weakly argued, completely disorientated. I lost. Why you? Indeed, Tamari had lost. And it had been a truly, utterly, one-sided loss of the greatest degree. You see, she had not gotten to move a piece, not even once. Suddenly, the girl snapped out of her daze and clear into rampant disbelief, slamming her hands onto the table. You called it right for 50 times in a row. Well, yeah, Naruto admitted. I think it would have been better if I could have gotten one wrong though, he theorized. What? How is that even possible? Do you know what the chances are of calling it right 50 times in a row? Tamari demanded incredulously. It's ridiculous. It's impossible. Naruto shrugged. Apparently, my luck for this kind of thing is really good. Feeling a little bad and awkward for the apparently traumatizing experience he had just put his friend through, he added. But anyways, I'll admit that Tamari-chan is really incredible at chess. You want to play something else now? He offered. Mahjong. Somehow, I don't think there'd be a point, Tamari observed. Oh, so you experienced it, huh? Tsunade asked, coming onto the scene. Naru-chan's unreasonable luck, that is. Sometimes, I feel like the brat is stealing away all of mine, she groused. Yeah, right, Ka-chan. Naruto defended righteously. You lost all the time before you adopted me, and after you adopted me, you lost all the time. He argued. There's no change. Shut up, brat. Are you trying to rub it in? It's the truth, Ka-chan. Grow up and accept it. Now, there was something about being told to grow up and accept it by her child that really pissed Tsunade off. That does it. Quickly, she pulled Naruto into a tight headlock, yet that was merely the beginning. Naruto knew that too. Wait a second. What's that hand seal? That's new. Vengeful Mother's ultimate secret technique. Burning Noogie of 1000 retributions. I can't believe you came up with a new hand seal for this. Naruto managed to cry in disbelief, before the wrath of the real ultimate Vengeful Mother's technique descended upon him. Just how much free time do you really have?